Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome to the inaugural podcast of Generation Gamers. I am Mike Mullis, aka StingerNLG, and I am pleased to have everybody out with us. And with me today are two incredible co-hosts be joining me in this great discussion of video games and all things. Gentlemen, introduce yourselves.
Hey, what's going on, you guys? This is Mason, aka SiNAR 2 and 2. I'm very excited today since it's our first podcast for Generation Gamers. We're going to be talking pretty much just like our title is, everything games. Got here with Mike and my boy Stan. What's up, Stan?
Hey, it's Stan here, aka Loyalvalor. I'm very excited to be here for Generation Gamers' first podcast, so that's
Yeah,
very
yeah.
exciting. Yep, so let's get this underway.
Yeah, I'm
How you guys
excited.
doing?
Rock on.
Yep.
Let's do this, you guys.
Let's
Welcome,
do it.
everybody.
All
All
right.
right, so listen, what we're going to do is let's give you a little background on what Generation Gamers means. Uh, what we are exactly that, multiple generations of gamers. So I'll give you a little background on me. I'm the oldest of the group. I'm 40. When I started playing video games, roughly, I don't know, 30 years ago, things were much, much different. When people are growing up and they're telling me that, yeah, I started playing on a Nintendo Entertainment System,
Yeah,
I
I hear
pat them on
that.
the head and say that was my fifth gaming system by then.
I hear that all the time, too.
I started out on a Atari 2600 and an Intellivision, which most people don't even know what that is. I had a ColecoVision. Uh,
ColecoVision.
oh yeah, man, that was the great stuff. And I had the Atari computer systems and things that just, back then it wasn't about resolutions and frame rates and things. It was, you played simple stuff. So as I grew up, I started to get real heavy into Sega. I was a big Sega fanatic. Genesis, Sega CD, 32X, Saturn, Dreamcast, and I wasn't as much into the Nintendo products until probably the Nintendo 64 came out. Then I started to get into those. I've owned almost every gaming system that I could think existed, except for the first two Nintendo platforms because I was so pro Sega. But I even still have some cartridges from my Neo Geo system, a couple little TurboGrafx 16 cartridges. I've got a PSP original model sitting down in my drawer with some games. I've owned every PlayStation up until this point, and every Xbox up until this point. I've also done. I'm a bit of an industry vet. I ran two gaming websites, one of them for the Sega Dreamcast called Dreamcast HQ. And then when Sega unfortunately decided to pull the plug on hardware, then I decided to go multi-platform and owned and operated Next Level Gaming for about 10 years. It started out when the Xbox came about, and that's the NLG in my name. I've had Stinger for 30 years, and the NLG came from when I started that site.
Wow.
So, yeah. So my perspective on gaming spans from a vast array of what I've played and what I've done and the people I've met and um, you know now as I'm 40, I'm a family gamer. I've got a wife and two kids. I don't have the disposable income anymore to just buy every system I can, and I don't have 5, 6, 7 hours a day to just play games and do nothing else. So the perspective that I give comes from that experience, and I settled this year on this generation, at least to start, on the Xbox One. So a lot of what I'll be covering and talking about will come from kind of that perspective. Not for a dislike of the PlayStation or Nintendo brand. Like I said, I've owned all the PlayStations and a PSP and a Wii and a 64 and all that. I had to make a choice this time, and for reasons that the three of us are going to talk about in a little bit, I went Microsoft's path. So that's me, and Mason, why don't you tell us a little bit about your gaming history and where you came up on and
Sure, and why not? Sounds like a good way to start. Well, I'd just like to say once again, welcome everybody to Generation Gamers. It's for the gamers by the gamers, and like Mike said, our ages span the different, I guess you could say, the different ages, the different generation of gamings, from going like Mike started from Atari to Belico to probably the Commodore, all the way to now this gen, to where we got Xbox One, PS4, and even the Wii U. They're To start off real quick, we are the three of us that are starting up today. We do have a group of gamers. I said right now, I think Mike and GT. I think GT's the same age as you, Mike, so he can have a little input whenever he's on the show to talk about, talk about the different games. Oh, so but pretty much a little bit about myself. I'll go off with my gamer tag first. I'm a big Star Wars fan, so science fiction is my forte. I'm really big into science fiction movies, games, books, a few books. SiNAR 2 and 2. SiNAR in the Star Wars lore is the company who makes the X-Wings and the TIE Fighters. I guess if you're a hardcore Star Wars fan and you had collected the old toys and you looked really hard, it would say, like, made by SiNAR on the toys. So it's kind of a cool thing. But pretty much where my gaming started, I remember watching an old video, family video of my older brother, Derek. It was his birthday. And he'd got the Nintendo. And I remember when I first saw that, and I always wanted to play it. Well, at the time, my family wasn't really big into that stuff. My brother got it for his birthday. He didn't play it that much, probably because attention span during that time. So, as soon as I saw that video, I'm like, where's the Nintendo at? I'm like, I want to play it. And from there on, that's where it started, with Mario Brothers, Duck Hunt. Especially that stupid dog on Duck Hunt, man. I'm pretty sure you guys remember. Oh, just bang, 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 bang. You just want to shoot that dog because he'd laugh at you.
He's always laughing at you.
Exactly. So, that's where I started with Nintendo. I was with the Nintendo console for a long time. I guess you could say I did a major jump. I think I went from Nintendo. I never had any of the Sega systems. I never had a PlayStation at first. I jumped from, I guess you could say, Nintendo straight to the N64. So that was a huge gap going from Nintendo all the way to N64. Not getting a Super Nintendo, not getting a Sega or a Sega Genesis, or even a Dreamcast. From there on, I went from the Nintendo 64, and then I got the PlayStation. And then after that PlayStation, I'd skipped getting a PS2 and went and got a Dreamcast. It was about a year after they had, stopped making the system, so I got it for relatively cheap. And that's honestly when I got the Dreamcast. That's where I guess you say my passion for video games really kicked in. So I consider myself now at the age of 25. I consider myself a passionate hardcore gamer, mostly because since I'm very passionate. I guess that's where the hardcore for taste comes in. I used to play all the time, especially with my boy Loyal back in the regular Xbox days, hours on end, hours. Man, I remember.
Custom games.
Oh man, doing the sword glitch on Halo 2 and stuff like that. But pretty much when I got into the gaming, once I got my Dreamcast, that's when I started doing all the research. I started following the game magazines. I started following, the interviews and the old internet with the 56K. For all you new kids, if you guys even remember what 56K was back then.
That is.
Yeah, we could blow their mind. And
remember the old...
My first modem was the 300 baud War Games acoustic modem. You had to dial the number, then put the handset down on the acoustic piece.
Oh man,
gosh.
I'm not dating myself or anything.
Sounds ancient. I'm just saying.
I remember back in those old forum days, they tell you 56K warning when they had high resolution pictures, say because people who had those old dial-up. But pretty much
Serve and Prodigy, and that's all I'll say.
Oh man, Prodigy! I remember Prodigy. But I know they say going from the Dreamcast, getting old games like Sword of the Berserk or Daytona USA. I remember I was I guess you could say I jumped to a Sega fan really hard right there. Even though I knew that they started making the console, I was all for Sega. I'm like, man, Sega's awesome, this and that, buying all their games and stuff. And then I remember one day I was playing Marvel vs. Capcom 2 on the Dreamcast, and I remember it was like a day or two before my birthday. And I remember My brother comes home from work. It's like, I don't know, maybe like 12 o'clock at night. And he goes, well, what do you want for your birthday? I'm like, I don't know. Here I am, rawing my thumbs on the Dreamcast controllers. I'm pretty sure if you guys remember that, those nubs, you come out, your whole thumbs would be raw. But he goes,
It
do you
was
want
all
an
plastic.
Yeah. He goes, do you want an Xbox? And I look at him, and at the time, even though I was pro Sega, I was kind of a Sony guy. I'm like, all I knew was Sony was top dog. You had the PlayStation 1, the PS2, all my friends had a PS2. And I looked at him, I'm like, why do you want to get an Xbox? I'm like, let's just go get a PS2. And he goes, no, let's just go get an Xbox. So went out and got an Xbox. The first two games were Max Payne and NASCAR 2001, and that's where it launched off. The rest is history.
At least one of those was a good choice.
Yeah. So pretty much that's where it started. I would play hours on end. Now pretty much I'm married, no kids. We kind of, as a joke, we consider ourselves a dink. You get like kind of like Mr. and Mrs. Dink off of the show Doug. Dink stands for dual income, no kids. Oh, but no, like I said, me and my wife, and thank God the wife I married, Heather, who is also Cybern717. You'll hear her on the podcast soon. She's big into games too, so I got lucky with that. I had to convert her, I guess you could say, from the blue side to the green side during the Xbox and PS2 wars. But other than that, though, that's where we're at. I mean, I'm just a casual hardcore gamer. I do play a lot, not as much as I used to, but now I read up on everything. I try and when I do my debating, along with because I am an Xbox guy, when I do my debating, I do pull I use facts. We don't pull a lot of stuff out of ours from the internet forums. That's one thing you'll notice about the group here is we may be biased towards a certain council. We're upfront about it, but we will always bring facts to the table. So, but pretty much that's about it. I can't really think of anything else. I'm moving on to my boy Stan. Go ahead, boy.
Yo, staying here, and yeah, just like Mason, late '80s born, so playing original NES a lot of the time, and I love Nintendo, love Sega, just like everybody here. Even though Sega moved on to making third-party games and stuff, they stopped making their consoles, even though they were ahead of their time with the Dreamcast. The Dreamcast was it. But yeah,
Amen to that.
Yeah.
yeah, I love. But yeah, as far as handheld, Nintendo's doing their thing, and just give me a Nintendo like SP or something like that, and I'm good. All I need is like one backlit screen. I don't need all the extra stuff. But
Old yeah,
yeah,
SP style.
um, but yeah, like fast forward to early 2000, and I'm over like my best friend's house on his Xbox playing Halo, and from then on I'm hooked. I got an Xbox specifically for Halo.
Oh yeah.
And then, Halo 2 comes out and stuff, and I'm just all over the online games. And yeah, from then on, I'm just a Microsoft guy as far as that goes. So, a little short-winded story there, but that's about it. So, um,
Crickets? No.
Just kidding. I mean,
Hey, that's what happens. That's what happens on the inaugural podcast. You're
Yeah.
learning how to get past what they call it a radio silence.
Sure, exactly.
So,
Yeah.
No, look, we all love games, and
Right on.
that's what's important.
Yep.
And so that brings us to the first topic that we want to kind of talk about, and that is probably, if you notice, every generation is defined by something. Even if you go back to the 16-bit days with the Genesis and the Nintendo Entertainments, Super Nintendo, there was always something that defined those generations.
Mm-hmm.
And what defines this generation with the PlayStation 4 and the Microsoft Xbox One more than anything, and you can even take Nintendo out of this equation for a while because they don't even talk about it, is this supposed, well, it's not supposed, we'll call it what it is, this power gap that exists between the two systems. So everybody who has paid attention to the world of video games in the last year, they know what the story is. The story is that Microsoft has taken a slightly different address point in their a different direction in where they want to go with their Xbox product.
Oh yeah,
And they
definitely,
wanted
definitely.
right, they wanted to be a game system, of course, because that's what the Xbox brought them, was into the world of gaming beyond just what they would make for the PC.
Right.
But it's also about
The games.
attacking the home. Well, it's not just for me, it's the games, but it's also they're going after the living room. And to do that, they've had to incorporate some things into their console that ended up needing to maybe take some of the power, as we call it, out of the console as far as graphics to kind of balance out what they want to do with the gaming side.
Mm-hmm.
So, Sony built the PlayStation 4 as strictly a gaming console with GDDR5 RAM. If you're unless you're a techno person, you really don't even know what that is.
Mm-hmm.
It does have a better GPU than the Xbox One, and so on and so forth. They built their console to be able to concentrate on games more than concentrate on anything else. And Microsoft built the Xbox One to try to accommodate a number of different things at one time.
Pretty much
Like
like
they
you
want
said.
it to be the center of your entertainment period.
Exactly. I
Like,
mean,
yeah.
they future proof themselves. I mean, like you said, Mike. I mean, with this power grab, I mean, in a way, it's kind of like, for one, these consoles just started, and with on paper, and I'm pretty sure so far with the couple games that came out, or supposed of the the stats of these games coming out, with that power grab on paper, yes, the PS4 is a lot stronger, but that was the same thing with last gen. It's funny saying last gen, isn't it? I mean, good lord, can be
I
just a
know.
couple months ago we were still playing our 360s, but with that power gap, the PS3 on paper blew away the 360. But the 360 still came out on top on a lot of third-party port games. I mean, priority-wise, other than PC, um, they always ported it from 360 to PS3, and unfortunately, the 360 one always came out on top. But with this one, since Microsoft has made a different approach, which in my opinion I like, and I'm pretty sure you two like, and hopefully a lot of people that listen to this like, is they're future proofing themselves to know that, hey, our console is going to be ready in 10 years down the road, or even 15 years down the road. I'm just throwing random numbers out there. But even if it's just a little bit less powerful, that doesn't matter. They made an all-around system for these developers. I mean, look at like when Albert Pinello came on NeoGAF and he was explaining to these people when I think it was when the whole GPU stuff came out. I could be wrong though, on the internet forums. And Pinello had said, "Listen, you guys, we made DirectX. We made DirectX. The things that these people play on PC to make their games look 10 times better, we made DirectX. Don't you think that we would know how to make a game system?" And they came out and said, "We made a console that is easy to develop for and all around good." I mean, it's just pretty much the main bottom line is it easier to develop, you know what I mean?
Well, it's
Yeah.
the same architecture as the 360,
Yes. Yep.
look, yes, if you want to go back and say Battlefield 4, 900p here, 720p there.
Oh
Look
boy.
at what happened with Call of Duty Ghosts. It was 1080p here, 720p here. I I get
Yeah.
that. And you know what? If your definition of power and if your desire for power is strictly graphics, strictly I got to have better looking games than the competing software, the competing console developer, then okay, then that's for you. Then the PlayStation 4 is your console. And I don't think you can find anybody that will argue that with you. But and this is where I know to you guys to an extent you see it, but I'll give it to you from the 40-year-old guy with two kids and a wife's perspective. The fact that the Xbox One has the HDMI port in, The fact that it has the Kinect sensor included, the fact that, yes, it does look better than the Xbox 360. You can compare it to the PlayStation 4 all day, but it does look better than the 360. If you put all of those things together, and then you add in the games that make that system what it is, that's, to me, is what the definition of power is. The fact that I can walk downstairs, sit down at my couch, my wife can come downstairs behind me and say Xbox on, and right now it turns on my Xbox, my receiver, which by the way is a Sony, haha, my television. It signs me in because the Kinect sees me, and then we just say Xbox, watch TV, and boom, we're into our regular routine that my wife and I do every night, which is we sit and we watch TV. And when she goes up to bed and I've got an hour or two to spare, I don't have to do anything other than say, Xbox, go to Forza Motorsport 5, or
Yeah.
Xbox, go to this, and boom, my control, I just pick up the controller and I'm in the game. That, to me, defines next generation power.
To be able
When my-
to
Go
have
ahead.
that seamless transition, like you said, from cable to to movies to games. When I remember when I first got the Xbox and I was showing my friends, I'm like, dude, to bridge that gap, which Xbox One has done right now, to bridge that gap between having to switch between your with using remotes or having the multiple different remotes, to be able to say that Xbox watch TV or Xbox play Battlefield 4, and how fast it starts up those games, or even go to Xbox Netflix. I mean, that, to me, that's a true next-gen experience, and that's one of the reasons also why I chose an Xbox One, to be able to experience that transition. And here, everybody knows. I mean, you guys know it's going to get a lot better because we just started. I mean, look at from when they first released the 360 with the features it didn't have, and then to now. All the features they released, all the updates, the seamless, how fast it's running and everything.
Well, the
Definitely.
updates are
minus the dashboard, I could do without. The dashboard's a little slow for me, but yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Well, there's already two big updates coming out. There's one coming out on Tuesday, which will have some
That's
back
right.
end.
That's
Yep,
right. Yeah.
they'll have
the
some of the
11th.
back end things as I believe it was Major Nelson had said that some of this stuff will be back end for developers and for gamers.
Oh yeah, a lot
They're
of
adding back in
Yep. A lot of
the
the behind the
storage.
scenes.
Yep, they're adding back in the storage management, and they are doing the battery icon so that you can see how your controller is doing with battery. So those things are coming first, and then in March, right before Titanfall, they're going to bring out their second update, which is going to fix a lot of the angst that people are having in the party chat system. So it's not, we're already almost 3 months in. I mean, we're not even 3 months in, and they're already addressing some of the things that we've seen, and it's only going, you're right, SiNAR, it's only going to get better.
Yep, exactly. I mean, even with the updates, and even like I said, even me as an Xbox fanboy, I did question those things. And, I'm not gonna have a console and completely say, I love the console, even if there is some problems at hand. I'm an Xbox guy. I want to make sure my Xbox is the best it can be. I complained about the party system. I complained that you could not manage your system. Now, for me, I kind of have a little OCD. I like to make sure everything's managed. And when you cannot manage or even see what's in your hard drive, it's a 500 gigabyte hard drive. I kind of like, all right, I don't like that. I don't like I think there was like an auto system. I don't like how that auto system would manage your hard drive. And that was one of the biggest not PC, one of the biggest Xbox One complaints. And like you said, they listened to the consumers and in a very fashionable way. And like I said, a lot of the back end stuff behind the scenes, like a better experience. I know some games do crash to the dashboard for whatever reason. And I know, like I said, the battery and a couple things you do. As I said, me as an Xbox guy, I do ask. I say, why did you not have that in the first place? Or why did you make the party system so different? That's where I'm like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But like you said, they got the first update this Tuesday, the 11th. And then I think they're actually calling that March 4th update. I think they're literally calling it the Titanfall beta. I mean Titanfall
The
update.
prepare for Titanfall.
Yep. And I remember my wife, Siren, she even said, she goes, I guarantee you they will have that party system fixed before Titanfall releases, because that is going to be the biggest game for the year. And who knows for how long. But I mean, to have that party system completely fixed by the time Titanfall, there we go. I mean, that's all we need is just them to fix that, that party system. But
At this point, the Xbox One is playable, but like if you were to, complain about that stuff or whatever earlier, it's like I think they put their time and money into the things that really make the games playable. You may not be able to play together so well, but I think when it really counts, they're
Yeah, but not being able to
doing
play
their thing.
together so well is the problem.
and then it's weird. It's kind of like a double-edged sword. Like the party system sucks right now, but then at the same time, it's very convenient. Like if we're already in a party and I join a battlefield, it's lickety split. Every one of the people in my party get that invite. And then
Like remember on Xbox, the Xbox 360, like we forgot all the things that the Xbox first launched with.
Exactly.
Like later on in the day, it's like wow, I can't remember how it was earlier in the day.
I completely forgot that the Xbox 360 did not have party chat in the beginning. I was like, man, I'm like, really? I'm like, I completely forgot about that.
And look, that brings us back.
They had the private chat. You could only talk to one person at a time.
Yep.
Right. But that brings us back to the power gap, quote unquote, and what we're going to see moving forward. And again, look, let me reiterate, because we've kind of, I can see the comments on our YouTube page now. Fanboy.
Oh yeah.
I have no issue whatsoever with Sony. I have no issue whatsoever with the PlayStation brand or the PlayStation 4.
Same here.
The choice to go with an Xbox One this generation was done so for, like I said, for things like having the Kinect built in, which I know is a sticking point with a lot of the hardcore gamers. But that is a big thing for me. The HDMI in is a big thing for me. And I'll be honest with you, if the Kinect was ever taken out of the box before this system launched, if they had announced sometime before November that they were making the Kinect completely optional to buy and not built in with the system, I would not have bought an Xbox One. Because for me, again, it's not about the graphics for me. I don't have to have the latest and greatest graphics. The Xbox 360, which is part of the point that I'm getting at, the Xbox 360 has some unbelievable looking games towards the end of the generation.
Yep.
And so I don't need to just play games with better graphics. I need that immersion. And I need my son, who's 9, and my other son, who's 4, to be able to play this system as well. So watching him, my oldest, use the Kinect to get into his games, use the Kinect to play Zoo Tycoon, which he loves, watching him play games like Max and The Curse of Brotherhood and things like that. That is why I bought the Xbox One, for those reasons. So,
like you want them to love the games as much as you did when you were younger, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. But I need that system. I need that system to encompass everything in the family, because it's $500. That is not cheap. $400 is not cheap either.
Exactly.
I
always said that when kind of like real quick, like you said, with the whole people are probably going to be screaming fanboy and stuff like that. Here's the thing I said: we all have the multiple consoles. I have a PS3, I have a 360, and I have an Xbox One, and I also have a PS4. We'll get to that point later on if we do, but. I also had a Wii U, but that not anymore. That we'll get to Nintendo later on. But like I said, since it encompasses everything, and like I said, you have a big family, so that circulates everything. Your kids with the Kinect and the games, which the Xbox One does have. I don't care what anyone says. There's no argument. Xbox One has the games right now, and within the next year and a couple years. Listen, Microsoft didn't spend $1 billion for no reason. And to open up these different studios, but with the whole power price gap with the power gap, people are like, oh, it's $500 for the Kinect. Here's the thing, listen, I say this all the time. I'm not trying to rag on somebody for if they can't afford the extra $100. But if $100 is literally going to break your bank, you do not even need to be buying a next gen system, even if the PS4 is $400. If it's that big of a difference, that
Right,
hundred
like you wouldn't even
dollars
be able to buy games at that point, you know.
exactly. I mean, if you're if it's really going to break your bank that bad to buy $500, like if saying, well, I can afford four but not five, okay, maybe you should just hold on. I'm not trying to say you're horrible with Monday. I'm not trying to, personally attack anybody. But I just, as an outsider, if you're saying 500 is too much, but 400 is not, then just wait. You might as well, why spend the $400 on it? But with the whole encompassing, me and my wife, like I said, we're in our mid 20s, including Stan. Stan's me and him are the same age, and I mean, granted, whether he's going to want kids later on, me and my wife, we're not going to have any kids, but
You
we're
say that now.
but that tech frenzy to where what the Xbox One offers that the PS4 doesn't is just it's groundbreaking. And knowing that this console, well, what was that quote they had for? I think when they first released the new really designed 360S Slim a couple years. Oh yeah, ready, built for today, ready for tomorrow, and that's exactly what the Xbox One is. Built for today, ready for tomorrow. With that HDMI in, that definitely is a big player. And to be able to have the software upgrades that they were able to up the even though Stan, we might be used to the dashboard now and it might be clunky. Imagine going back to how the dashboard first was and how slow and clunky it would be then compared to what the 360 is now. To be
I
able
did
to,
kind of like the blades, though.
the blades were cool. To be able to
Yeah, yeah.
upgrade that type of processing speed with the hardware that's already built in it and not change the hardware through just software updates, get out of here, man. That people got to know the Xbox One is definitely it will get better.
Yeah, and look, I didn't even touch on Snap. The fact that I could watch I could play Peggle 2 and watch one of my DVR shows at the same time. I mean, again, those are the things that define for me what my experience is. And I brought up games at the end of the 360 generation because there was an interesting development this week from a company called Rebellion Games. They're creating Sniper Elite 3. Now, there was some angst earlier in the week about the fact that, well, the PlayStation 4 version of Sniper Elite might run a little smoother than the Xbox One version. The Xbox One version might be a little slower. And so, of course, the internet forums went crazy. And so then, today, there was an article floating around from the same developer talking about what many people are also kind of going back and forth about and calling the albatross on the Xbox One's neck and so on and so forth, the ESRAM. Now, for those that don't know or who don't care, which is a lot of people, the ESRAM is a 32 meg cache that sits on the motherboard. It's the same concept as the 10 megabyte EDRAM that was built into the Xbox 360. The idea was to give a fast bandwidth buffer between the GPU and the main memory, and where they upped it to 32 meg from 10 meg, and then they allowed some improvements like being able to overflow that into the main memory so that you can do some things with it that you couldn't do at higher resolutions on the Xbox 360. So most people really haven't cared about that, but again, the internet forums, they're all ablaze on how the ESRAM is horrible. It's a cheap solution to try to catch up with the PlayStation 4 and so on. So today, Rebellion Games said, yeah, look, the ESRAM at the beginning was a pain in the butt to use. He said it's clearly more complicated to extract the maximum power out of the Xbox One. And now the ESRAM's a little easier to use now that they've gotten used to it. And the new SDKs that are coming out, and this is a quote from Rebellion Games' Jean-Baptiste Bocato, who's a senior producer on Sniper Elite. He said, will the process become easier over time? Definitely. They're releasing a new SDK, and by they, Microsoft, that's much faster, and we will comfortably be running at 1080p on the Xbox One. We were worried 6 months ago, and now we're not anymore. So,
I
what
mean,
we're going to... Go ahead.
like you said, with the whole, see, this is where nothing with the developers. People say, with the whole, I definitely think it's going to be the developers that literally are going to have to bust ass to show what they can do on these systems. Both the systems are there. The hardware, like I said, PS4 may be more powerful, but they're closer than they've ever been. And listen, I don't care what anybody says about Xbox One not being able to do this. Forza 5 can run 1080p, 60 frames per second with no slowdown. Now, I think it depends on the developer. I mean, look at the new Halo game. They said that's going to run at 60 frames per second, and I guarantee you that game will also run at 1080p. It depends. I just think it's going to show on the developer. I mean, who knows? Look at Tomb Raider. I think Tomb Raider on the PS4, 1080p, 60 frames per second, whereas in the Xbox One version, 1080p, 30 frames per second. But here's the thing: it's a different developer. It wasn't the same one. That's what some people think. Oh, this. I think maybe the developers have to get used to it. Like you said, Rebellion said 6 months ago, we were like, oh, man, what are we going to do? Now they're like, okay, we got it. We're going to be comfortable now. But
Oh, and look at Infinity Ward. Okay, so Call of Duty Ghosts has been running perfectly fine
on the
until
Xbox
they
One.
put out a patch that borked the frame rate in many places.
Yeah.
So, the internet forum reaction was, of course,
patch.
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
The internet reaction was, oh my God, the Xbox One can't even handle this. And we're like, wait a minute. It already ran at 60 frames per second. The developer screwed it up.
Yep.
So you're right. As the developers get going, and as these SDKs come out that make it easier to get into the ESRAM, because the ESRAM also can be used for many things other than just rendering targets.
Well, like the operating systems and stuff like that.
Well, Crytek used it in Rise for Z buffering. Some people can use it for texture streaming, and so it's not like it's not a doorway between the DDR3 RAM and the GPU. It works in page tables, so it works in tandem, and you can use it for whatever you want.
Okay.
And as these developers get better at using it, and make no mistake, Microsoft's responsibility here is to make it easier for them to use this tool.
Exactly.
And they have to have the drivers and the SDKs to make it work. But as they do, then you're going to see this power gap kind of loosen up a bit. Will it ever go away? No, because there's still the difference in the GPUs.
Yep.
And again, I take nothing away from the PlayStation 4. It is a powerful system.
Yep.
And we're going to get into the future of Sony and where they're going with their games. And we know where Sony is with developing games. They are top notch.
Yep.
And we'll get into that a little bit. But I firmly believe, even though I don't care about resolution, even though I don't care about frame rate in certain circumstances, the fact that the system's going to get better and the system is going to catch up, as Rebellion Games has said outright, it's going to catch up. It's a win for everybody.
Exactly. I mean, like I said, I didn't spend $500 on pixels or frame rates. I spent $500 on the features it offers and the games I know that are going to be fun and that are going to come out. I mean, real quick to go dwell back in the power gap, it's like when Call of Duty Ghosts first came out, they had to get an update to run at 60 frames per second because they're both 1080, aren't they? They're both 1080p, but 30 frames on the Xbox One, right? For Ghosts. Now,
Yep.
But hasn't even Polygon even said when they did that test, even though the PS4 version, this is before it got broken from Infinity Ward, but even though it runs 60 on PS4, there's a lot more slowdown, right?
Right.
So it's
they had problems.
Yeah, they had problems. Like they said, it's like, okay, Xbox One runs at a steady 30. It still looks good by no means.
60,
A lot of these, hopefully people are listening to this. They need to know there is nothing wrong with 30 frames per second.
But
these.
Ghost runs at 60 on the Xbox One as well. It just runs at 720p.
Oh, that's what it was. I'm sorry, 720p. Yes, correct.
I think
Okay.
you're thinking of Tomb Raider.
That might have been it. Yes, I think. Okay, yeah, that might have been it then. And even it's like with when people are. I was reading today on a Twitter feed about the whole SD cards for Rebellion about Sniper Elite, and the guy was like, he said what I said. He goes, Forza runs 1080p 60 frames per second, and then one guy says, yeah, but that's a racing game. Then he comes back saying, listen, if that's a racing game, why is Drive Club for the PS4 been delayed indefinitely? I mean, I would consider indefinitely. We don't even know when it's coming out because that game was only 1080p, 30 frames per second. And the rumor is the reason why it's been delayed is they want to try and get it to 60 frames per second. And that is just a racing game. You know what I'm saying? I just really believe it's the developers. Because if this developer can't make Drive Club run at 60 frames per second yet, but then Turn 10 can, I just really think this is where this generation developers are really going to shine on what they can do with the hardware and software.
On both systems.
Yes.
Because, obviously they delayed Drive Club because they think they can get it there. And if they can, that's awesome.
Exactly.
Because that's what on a driving game it should be. The thing about Tomb Raider is exactly as you said. That is a different style of game. And the PlayStation 4 version doesn't run solid 60. It's capped, but it's not solid. It does dip into the 40s and into the 50s.
Yep.
And so it's not as though and that's at 1080p. So it's not as cut and dry as it seems.
Yeah, it's not constantly running at 60.
Exactly. Yep. I think from the test it was dropping down to like Stinger said, like there's a couple 40, 45, and whereas I think for the Xbox One, even though it was a steady 30, I think they said every now and then it went down to 29, but 95% of the time it was staying at 30. And like I said, hopefully everyone listens, there's nothing wrong with 30 frames. All of last gen, majority of the games are 30 frames. People have this mindset of since it's next gen, every game should be 60 frames. That doesn't literally. Are you going to hate Metal Gear Solid, Phantom Pain, or Halo 5 if the game's not 60 frames? I mean,
Halo 5, yeah.
I mean, literally, are you
actually Halo 5? Yeah.
Oh, well, the thing is with I don't know. I mean, 30 frames is fine. I mean, Halo 4, like you said, what they were able to achieve with last gen. Who would have thought they were able to squeeze that out? To me, Halo's always been the game where, yeah, it might not have the best graphics. It has a good graphics, but it's the geography. For them, at the end, near this end, close to the end to the 360 lifespan, to be able to push that system even further, to have that type of scope and geography in Halo 4, still blows my mind today when I go back to play it, because it's just hard to. I mean, it still boggles my mind that those last gen systems only have 512 megabytes of RAM. Oh boy.
I know.
That is like,
and look,
you can't even buy that no more in
impressive.
stores, I don't think.
It's even more impressive what Sony was able to pull out of the PlayStation 3, considering its architecture and how much more difficult it was to program for it. And if you think about it, there are some amazing looking PlayStation 3 games. Yep. Look at The Last of Us.
Yep.
I mean,
or even what was that one with Ellen Page, Beyond Two Souls.
Right. So the fact that and the architecture in the PlayStation 3 was split memory. So the fact that they were able to pull that together just tells you, it goes back to how really impressive Sony's first-party developers are.
Yep.
Naughty Dog, let's call it now. I mean, Uncharted 4 is going to freaking rock.
Yep. Wait, did they announce Uncharted 4?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that. I didn't hear that one. I thought it was all about speculation right now.
Well, they had the trailer at the reveal, or at the sales night. You probably didn't watch Spike TV that evening. That's probably why.
Oh, okay.
So I mean, look, the PS4 is what it is right now, and it is fantastic. And I think the Xbox One is fantastic, and I think you're going to see this. You're going to see some really amazing games come out of the Xbox One side, and I think a lot of it's going to have to do with Microsoft getting their tools together, and the developers getting on board.
Definitely, I agree 100%. Yep.
So let's let's kind of bring Nintendo into this mix a little bit. Um, let's talk about where the future of video gaming is going, because look, the odd man out in this situation um, is Nintendo,
Right,
and
right,
their
right.
their
Yeah.
They're not.
sales.
They're not in. I mean, they're more the family route. I feel. Like they're playing toward more of the little kids and stuff. Like they don't have the mature games like the PlayStation PC and Xbox have. So yeah, but they're really doing their thing as far as innovation goes. Like they're changing up the controller a lot and what you can do with the console. Like you can play the Wii U, like without even having to have the TV on. Like you have the screen in your hands and stuff, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
And yeah, like
I mean,
I
I
think that
agree.
is really cool. They're doing their thing.
I think, as I said, I've never had a beef with Nintendo either, but kind of talking about Nintendo, where I don't know. I mean, looking at the whole spectrum where Nintendo's going, like I said, they will always dominate the handheld market. This is one thing I've always said. I always said I hope Microsoft or Xbox brand does not get into the handheld market, because let's just face it, Nintendo would own them. It would be done. I mean, Sony tried. Honestly, I still can't believe the Vita is still out there. I mean, I know they're pushing it for the PS4, but the Vita is on life support if you ask me. But with Nintendo, that's where we're going. I had a Wii U. I bought a Wii U in June. I only had the game Nintendo Land that came with it, and I bought New Super Mario Brothers U. I mean, now like I said, their games are fun. I'm not saying the games suck, because they don't. Zelda, Mario, Donkey Kong, all those games are fun. All the games they bring are fun, but it's just I think they're I don't know. I
I
think
think
they
they're banking on their past successes.
exactly
Like, there's not enough, original content coming. Like they're banking on Mario, Zelda, everything you just listed, Donkey
exactly.
Kong.
Yep. And that's
Yeah, so
I mean that's what I say. I mean they have. Here's the thing. Nintendo has so many IPs. Where's Star Fox? Where's F-Zero? Where's Metroid? I mean, you can't really hold on to those IPs for so long, because it might be too late. I mean, here's the thing. I tell them, I don't listen. I don't think Nintendo's going to go the route of Sega. They got a lot of money. The Wii was very successful.
and they are really rocking the handheld.
Exactly. That's always going to bring them cash. But I don't think they will definitely be. I don't think they'll go the route of Sega. I do think that they will. Um, Maybe reorganize, and we'll probably see a council from them. I know rumors are saying 2017, because here's the thing: they're not doing very good. We all know that. It's hard to even get rid of those things. Like I said, for me, I had a Wii U. I traded in just recently, and I got a PS4, because I know eventually I will play the PS4 for some of the first party title games that are there. But when certain people get in debates about, well, how can you say that? GameCube was in third place, 2 generations ago. It was like, listen, during the GameCube generation, yeah, it might have been third place, but it never lost support. This generation, for one, they made a mistake coming out 2 years before. This generation, they're losing support. They're losing third-party support. When three of the next-gen graphic engines will not support your system, you got a problem. Crytek is the only next-gen graphic engine that will support them. Ubisoft's Snowflake won't. EA's Frostbite won't. And the new Unreal Engine won't support the Wii U. That's not good, because for one, I mean, look at they ported Mass Effect over for the Wii U. That was on EA's graphic engine, but now we know the next gen Mass Effect will not be on the Wii U, because
They make their own games,
yeah,
Nintendo.
exactly. But I mean, like I
Well,
said,
but that only gets you so far.
exactly, and it does.
Right.
I mean,
You know,
like I said, it's
look,
good for the kids, but I think what really happens is I think people are literally getting tired of it. Everybody knows there's going to be another Mario. There's going to be
They're
another.
stuck in a rut, right?
Exactly. I mean,
They're just regurgitating everything like from the
exactly.
past years.
I
They
mean,
really need some original
when
content.
you bring out another Super Mario 3D World that's pretty much Super Mario Brothers U, and your biggest talk about the game is outfit that lets you run like a cat. I mean, I'm not trying to. I'm sorry, Nintendo, but come on, man. I'm not gonna want to buy that game just because you're promoting. Oh, you can. You look at this suit. You can wear this cat suit. You can run like a feline. I'm like, thanks. Like,
yeah.
But
Well, the
like,
games aren't there, and look, my Nintendo caught lightning in a bottle with the Wii, and
yes, yes, I
and
agree.
I
the
agree.
the the reason I say that is, I remember going to E3 the year that the year that Nintendo announced the Wii, and myself and my editing crew who were going to cover the event, we sat around at lunch and said, "What in the world kind of name is Wii?" I mean, I said I thought the Revolution, the Nintendo Revolution, was a
Oh, the
great name,
That's the
revolution.
sound you can make when you have fun.
and
Whee!
right, and then they came out that "We Want to Play,"
We want to play.
and, and that was the weirdest name I had ever heard in my life for
They
a
put
console, but
they
but
put two eyes at the end of everything. They had
Like,
the me, we, all that
yeah,
stuff.
it was like what Apple does with their i everything.
oh
But
yeah,
they caught
Oh
this
yeah.
lightning in a bottle, and they had all this support. And when the Wii U was announced, most people thought it was a an accessory to the Wii, like it wasn't its own system.
yep.
And that
Right.
got it started down the path of poor sales. And now,
Well, I do
most of the
know
third parties are pulling out because they can't sell their games on it.
exactly. I mean, I know like Siren 717 at her place where she works. She said there's people coming in saying, "Can they get the attach on for the Wii?" And I'm like, it's you still have to tell people it's not it's a whole new system. I mean, listen, I think it was right before Wii U came out. They sent a message to everybody in the Wii console saying it is a whole brand new console. When you gotta say that in the messages,
Yeah.
there's a problem. And here's another thing: is that it may sound like I'm hating on Nintendo, but I'm just stating facts. I mean, this is a legitimate fact. When you don't sell out your first holiday season and the one that just passed, there's a problem. And Nintendo's acknowledged it now. I mean, I think didn't they shot their forecast down? I mean, I know it's estimated forecast from like they thought they were going to sell like 9 million Wii U's by the end of March, and they forecasted to only selling like 2 million. I'm like, ooh, like
You know, I think they could have got away with selling more consoles if they hadn't put a letter after Wii. If they would have put Wii 2, then that's a different
yeah,
console.
yep,
But they put a letter there, like, what does the U stand for? It
exactly.
must be an add-on. I don't know.
And what does the U stand for? Do we know?
It just stands for you. Like when at E3 when they came on a stage, we was about everybody having fun. We, I mean, yeah, it's we like I said, but we, as in we're all having fun. Four controllers. You. It's about your experience.
Right.
You.
What? And then they did things like you could only use one joypad with it, so
Oh
only one
God.
person could have the second screen
I
experience.
don't even
And
think you can
Oh
plug a head.
man.
I think it was. I don't know if they updated it, but I don't even think you can use a headset. Like it was a pain to hook up a headset to even play Call of Duty. They might have fixed
so,
it, but
so where do we see Nintendo going? Where do we see them? Let's say in a couple years, because look, right now the PlayStation 4 is the king of the hill as far as sales goes, and Microsoft's right behind them, and both
well,
of
we
them are
also have to
about
think
to
sales
eclipse.
wise, the worldwide. I mean, they're definitely when you
But the
launch from
Wii U is not
uh,
worldwide success either.
no.
So does Nintendo continue to just bank on their handhelds and their $11 billion in cash reserves to get them through this, or look, they said that they were also open to mergers and acquisitions.
Yep.
Does somebody come in to invest in them, or does one of the two big guns come in and try to make a move on them?
Well,
I hope they just put all the stops and quickly make a new system or just rebrand it or something. I don't know. But then they're gonna have to start delving into, their bread and butter is gonna have to be the handheld, like, and I don't want that to happen because, the consoles is where it's all at pretty much, the home gaming. So
I mean, I agree. Like I said, we're with Nintendo with the whole with all Nintendo. I want them to be when they say
I
they're
want them to be successful.
exactly, yeah, exactly. And they may say we're in a league of our own. Listen, I don't know. When you come out during the Wii stage, the Wii generation, and you say we're here to kick some ass, and they were, And I think the whole future of them. Honestly, you said the merge and acquisition. I think after this fourth quarter topic, I mean the fourth quarter. I think they're literally gonna, like you said, think. Listen, we can't screw around. Start R&D right now in the next gen system. We got to have a new one out in the next 2 years. I mean, and I knew from the beginning when they announced the specs for the Wii U. I mean, listen, coming out a year before might have been different, but 2 years before the Xbox One and PS4 came out, and I knew, and I said it from the beginning. No, I said from the beginning, no developer is going to put lifelong um, not dependency, support for a system knowing two big monster consoles are coming out 2 years down the road. They got a couple ports from last generation and a couple of their own first party titles, and that's it. Like I said, I mean, what was Warner Brothers just announced? They just canceled all the DLC for the Wii U, and they had to refund everybody. Maybe the game didn't sell well, but when you said when the companies are seeing their games are not selling and not doing good, then they're just going to pull the support, which unfortunately right now they are. I mean, it sucks. I hate to say it because like Stan said, I want them to be successful. I want them to put a fire under. I mean, Microsoft and Sony are going at it, so they're lighting finders of their own ass. But I want Nintendo to come out of nowhere and be like, bam, like guess who's back, and just
Right.
really showing what's going on. Like, guess what? We go,
That's
bam,
probably their plan
F-Zero,
right now.
here's Zelda.
Like they're probably sneaking up from behind,
yeah,
trying to catch them with a blind side.
Yep.
Blow everybody out.
Catch a Link blade in the back.
Exactly.
All right, so we could see where Nintendo may need to go to right their ship. So
well, I also did hear that. What about the whole mobile thing? Didn't I mean? There's been some contradiction about them coming out or licensing their things to mobile, not handheld, but like phones and stuff.
Well, and so let's real quick. I assume that we see Sony and Microsoft continuing to battle out for supremacy for console wars. One thing that I do want to bring up real quick, because I do want to talk about mobile, but real quick, when a lot of people are so fast to bring up sales numbers without realizing that, while I understand that these guys are probably competing with each other for market share, they're also trying to make their own money.
Mm-hmm.
And this idea that Microsoft is floundering because they only sold 3 million plus consoles in 2 months. I think that we take this console war thing so to the extreme that because Sony is, to their credit, worldwide, they're going to dominate. Yep. And the reason they're going to dominate is because they sell consoles in more places than Microsoft sells Xbox Ones. And it was the same thing as the last generation, where you didn't get an Xbox 360 in Cuba and Sri Lanka, but you could buy a PlayStation 3. Well, as
You're
funny
right.
as that sounds, that adds up. And that's why Sony was able to catch up with Microsoft worldwide in sales of the last gen, and it's why they are going to outsell Microsoft in the worldwide market this generation too. But that's okay, because what most people, I think, are more looking at, and I know I'm looking at, is that I want Microsoft to be successful enough that they, unlike the Wii U, aren't abandoned by the big developers.
Yep.
I want EA and Ubisoft and Konami and those guys to continue to invest in the system. I want enough Xbox Ones out there that Microsoft themselves continues to develop games for their system. So if Sony, to me, sells 40 million PlayStation 4s in the next year and Microsoft sells 32 million, does that really, to me, say, oh my God, Microsoft's in trouble? I don't see it.
Not at all. No. I mean, unfortunately, people will miss that fact that Sony does sell, their consoles in markets that a lot of people are like, oh, really? Like Malaysia or stuff like that. And I'm not trying to hold on those countries, but Sony is, I guess you would say, is more of a out brand by then.
And to their credit, I want to make sure that I keep reminding people that it's not supposed to be an anti-Sony tirade.
Yeah,
It's more along the lines of trying to bring some real expectations in about where Microsoft is and where the Xbox is.
exactly.
And look, you read Reddit, you read various internet forums, and because Microsoft's only sold 3 million consoles and they've shipped almost 4 million, but forget that, that somehow Microsoft is going to die. And I don't
Oh,
get
the
it.
English, no.
I just don't get it. And I'll
Nobody's
tell you,
nobody's
in the
gonna say that about
US,
Nintendo though. You know what I'm saying?
no.
No, I mean,
And,
oh, Nintendo ain't gonna go nowhere. Ah, okay.
and in the US, Microsoft's doing just fine.
They're doing
And
amazing.
in Europe they're going to do fine. This will probably be the one territory where they hold serve. And that's okay. I just want to play the games. I don't care. I just don't want it to go the way of the Wii U, which I don't think is going to happen. I think Microsoft is going to sell 40, 50 million Xbox Ones when all,
They got a good
when all
ad
is said and
campaign,
done.
that's for sure.
Oh yeah,
They definitely do. So I think this idea that Microsoft's in trouble. I think that works if you're a console warrior, that you have to have a winner and a loser, and you have to have somebody finish first and somebody finish second. But I, I think Microsoft's looking back and saying, "Hey, look, we well outsold the 360 at this point in time by a wide
oh
margin."
yeah, oh yeah.
And we're on track. We've got Titanfall, uh,
Right, like
we've
you
got
can't
Sunset
call a,
Overdrive.
a winner yet, like it's
Exactly.
too early on.
And I just
Very.
don't think I care anymore about it. And this is my perspective as someone who has grown up, in the 16-bit wars, and going back real quick
And
to the power
progression.
gap. You want to talk about a power gap that never was able to go away? The Genesis was only able to do 64 colors, and the Super Nintendo was doing 256 colors,
Did,
and there was nothing you could do about it. Absolutely nothing.
hey
So
Sega, Sega does what Nintendo can't.
but then,
Oh.
Nintendo, right? But look at the Genesis; it was more successful. So anyway, I just Sony is going to sell a boatload of PlayStation 4s, and that's great. It's great for the industry. It's great because that means that they're going to
For the
get support
consumer.
too, and that means we're going to get another Uncharted and another more Naughty Dog and more Santa Monica and more of those games
More
that
of the
they
games
are
that we
known
like.
for.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. Uncharted is one of my favorite series. It's the reason I came from a Tomb Raider background as far as what I really like. So Uncharted really was one of my favorite series, even more so than most people think with Halo and that kind of thing. Like, I like Halo, but give me those kind of games. Uncharted 4 is going to rock. So I just want to make sure that that people understand that from my perspective, I don't care about who wins and who loses. I care about Microsoft sustaining the product and having games that I and my family are going to enjoy.
Exactly. I agree. 100%.
Right
Well,
on how about we talk about mobile gameplay? I'm talking about cell phones, anything like that. Nothing
I
really
do.
handheld.
All right, so let's shift a little bit, uh, Loyal, since you brought up Microsoft and their handheld market. Let's move into, or I'm sorry, the mobile market. Let's move into mobile gaming a little bit.
Good idea.
Where do we see mobile gaming going? And look, I mean, from my perspective, mobile gaming on phones and tablets has really taken off. And this week, unfortunately, it even took a really weird turn with just a local, not local, I'm sorry, a young Vietnamese indie developer who he threw together a little game called Flappy Birds, and he got such a backlash ruckus over it that he actually pulled it from the iOS store today.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I read that too. I really didn't know much about the Flappy until when I'd asked you about it yesterday, Mike, and even Stan knew about it. And you know, I think my quick thought about it is I think in mobile gaming, I know console developers are nervous about it. I had a debate with a friend of mine about it. I seriously think mobile gaming, I mean, it's already big in Japan. Look at the handhelds. I mean, to me, I still consider a handheld not really in mobile gaming yet. I consider mobile gaming as in cell phones. That stuff is taking off. Angry Birds, Candy Crush, which is pretty much Hexic, which
I
Hexic has
think
been around.
it's taken off more so just because everyone has a cell phone versus everyone having a console, and you don't need to have a free TV to play a cell phone like you do a console,
Yep,
and
And
agreed.
things
look
of
how
that
many of
nature.
these look how many of these games are
Before,
free or ad supported. I mean, Angry Birds has been free on most
Android.
devices, at least for the Android, forever, and it's $60 if you want to play it
That's
on a
it
console.
is. That's ridiculous. I
yeah,
mean, even a Windows phone, they charge like $1 or $2 where I think it's free on iOS and Android. But yeah, I went into Best Buy the other day and I was like, hey man, I mean, I thought it was gonna be like maybe like a $15 game. $60 for the Angry Birds Star Wars. I'm like, get out of my face, man. Like that is I'm not gonna pay you $60. Get out. That's stupid. Get out of here.
are you paying
But
for the Star Wars brand at that
Okay, I
point?
but
know
you're
I
not paying
I
you're
know
not
I
paying
said
for
it.
it on the phone.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I know I'm a Star Wars fan, but man,
True.
$60 for a game like that? No, thank you. And you're right, it's not $60 on the phone. It's only five. I think for the first Star Wars add-on pack, it was only $5. The second
And,
add-on was $5. This is
and it was free on
$60.
Android.
Yeah, it's free on Android.
But the whole thing is, this guy who created Flappy Birds, um, he created it as basically a concept project, and he threw it out onto the iOS store. And if you read correctly what's been said about it, the guy was making $50,000 a
A
day
day.
on ad revenue,
Yep.
and that's a boon for just a guy on his own. Imagine, EA and Ubisoft and these guys that are going to be pushing stuff. And look, you've been able to get Madden the last few years on mobile, and how much money those guys can rake out of the mobile market. It's
That's
no
just
wonder
gross.
Nintendo might want to take it.
What'd you say, Stan?
So that's just gross.
It
Fifty
is
thousand dollars a day. I'm like,
disgusting.
oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
but it comes with its downside. I mean, at first, when I heard that the guy was pulling the game off because of some of the things that they were saying about his game and things of that nature, and they've accused him of ripping off the type of game, which is really funny because the game, everybody's ripping off a simplistic style of game
Yep.
when they make these Twitch games on mobile.
Right.
And then they went after him because they said he used green pipes, which look like Mario pipes, and
Yeah.
I mean all this crap. And at first I thought, man, the guy just needs to suck it up. He made a game. He needs to ignore all that and just rake the money in.
Well, he
And then
just
I saw something this afternoon. Somebody had put together some uh, Twitter feed about the game, and it was some of the most hurtful things I'd ever seen. And so the guy pulled the game. But this is how serious mobile gaming has become, in that now you have people on internet forums, and this guy's game got reviewed by major websites. You're right, Mason. The console makers have got to start becoming a little afraid, and we're going to get into a quick hit at the end with Amazon that might also lend
yeah,
some of this.
exactly.
But at the
So,
same time, like the consoles cost hundreds of dollars, but it's kind of weird how iPhones cost like nearly $1,000,
Close to, yeah, exactly.
and they're willing to like. I would much rather, get a console than buy an iPhone, that's even more expensive to play these mobile games,
Exactly, like you said. I mean,
yeah,
yesterday you're like, how come why people go out and buy these, $500-$600 phones or laptops? And like, dude, if I had, I mean, maybe it's just the mind of us gamers. If I had $600, I'm not gonna go buy a lap. I mean, unless I direly needed the laptop, I'm gonna go out and buy a game system with some games, man. I'm not gonna buy a laptop that what do they call it? An expensive Facebook computer.
Right. It It's a Facebook machine.
Yeah,
That's
machine,
all it's used
exactly.
for. It's
Yeah, it's a social media.
a
But the
MacBook
thing,
Pro,
but
for some Facebook.
the thing that mobile devices though have going for it is they're subsidized by the phone vendors. So you're not always paying $500 for that iPhone. If you're moving from
Yeah.
AT&T to T-Mobile or something like that, there's a good chance you're getting the iPhone for $99, if
Yeah.
not for free.
Yep. Yep. But no, like you said, I
Sure.
mean, even with the Maker's Main, look at the whole, Double Helix. Amazon buying Double Helix. In case if anyone didn't know, Double Helix made Killer Instinct for Xbox One. All of a sudden, Amazon just buys them. That is like woo. I mean, I didn't see that coming when they announced it on Twitter. I was kind of shocked actually. I mean, first thought I'm like, what is Amazon gonna do? I mean, can you believe it?
Right.
So
Like,
they
do
would
they
have.
make games?
I don't think so. I know they host games you can buy, but
They're
I'm like,
looking at another console to compete in the space. And the reason that it's relevant to mobile gaming is they're talking about it being an Android powered gaming
Amazon.
device, like an Android, like an Ouya,
Yep.
or
Yeah.
however you
Exactly.
pronounce
Oh
that
yeah.
crazy
Yeah.
name.
Yeah.
But they're trying to make that space on their own. And I want to come back to the double helix thing in a little bit because that has implications that we have to talk about.
Exactly. Yep.
So with that, I'd like to move into some what we like to call here at Generation Gamers Podcast the quick hits. What we're going to do in this segment is go over some of the things that we've seen over the week, some things we picked up on Twitter, some news that's out there that we just want to give a little bit of commentary on, get a couple of opinions on, and just see how many of these we can rifle off. So first off, since you brought it up, let's go into that double helix being bought by Amazon. Now this took everybody by surprise. It came out of nowhere.
Surprise. It did.
So what as Mason was alluding to, double helix was brought in to make Killer Instinct. Now
Also Strider. Their
and
Strider
which is coming out later this month for multi-platform.
Tuesday. I think on Tuesday.
And so you're right. And so what happens to these games? I mean, really, Killer Instinct was supposed to have a second season. There's DLC. Now, Amazon has said that all of the contracts that Double Helix is currently in, they're going to see through. So I'm imagining that, and Phil Spencer has already said that they have an in-place team ready to take over. Also, there was a tweet from somebody at Double Helix that said, they are still grinding forward with the things that they're working on for Killer Instinct. But what happens to Killer Instinct once Double Helix is no longer in play for developing it? What happens?
Come out with a sequel from a different company. I mean, I don't want to say that they're just going to get rid of it, but I mean, like I said, nobody knew about this. This came out of nowhere. I mean, who would have thought Amazon would buy a video game company? Literally, it wasn't like we didn't even get rumors about Amazon buying Double Helix. It was straight up Amazon just buys Double Helix. Like, whoa, what? Like it was done. Deal was signed. Like, okay, okay. Whoa, what's going on now? I mean, they use Killer Instinct in the Evo tournaments and stuff like that. Does this mean no, Microsoft published Killer Instinct, so
Microsoft owns the IP.
Yeah, that's what it was.
The IP is not going anywhere. My concern was, and a lot of people's, kind of legitimate concern, we know Ken Lobb is still with Microsoft, and he's the father of Killer Instinct. But how much that Double Helix team really developed that game versus who developed internally at Microsoft? Where does Microsoft get? I'm assuming they own the assets because they own the IP, but what about the engine that it's written on?
Yeah.
That's Double Helix's engine.
Yeah, that's what Strider's even running on that engine.
So, what happens to that season 2? Is Double Helix going to make it before they roll out? We're still going to try to get some information on this, but this is a fairly legitimate concern. And then take Strider for a second. I mean, that's obviously they're finished with Strider, or at least to the point to where they're about to release it.
Yeah.
What happens with releasing any DLC or releasing any updates to it for, where's that? I don't think we've seen anything about those contracts and where what happens to Double Helix? What are they making for whatever Amazon's coming out with, or is Amazon simply just going to publish games?
Yeah, that could be their start into it. Exactly. I mean, what do you think about that, Loyal?
Um, I really don't know all too much about the Killer Instinct all too much. Yeah, I don't have I need to learn some more before I make up an opinion about it. That's for sure. Yeah, like like y'all said, it was a blind side, so like no one really heard about it. So
It was a
I'm right
blind
there with
side.
everybody else.
No. Now,
Yeah.
Microsoft says, Phil Spencer did say that they were anticipating this. So it's possible they knew, but no company it's not like Microsoft's going to come out and say, hey, Double Helix is getting bought by Amazon in the next 2 weeks. So, just be, Killer Instinct fans, be prepared. That's kind of unethical and probably illegal to announce somebody else's sale. So,
Right.
it does appear that Microsoft has a plan in place. They haven't announced who's going to take it over yet, and I think that is causing some very legitimate angst amongst fans of the
It was a
series.
series, yeah.
And look, Killer Instinct, as you said, is being added to Evo for 2014, and that's a huge thing. I think people don't understand how big Evo is in the fighting game
Genre.
community as
Yeah.
far as that major tournament. That's a huge vote of confidence for that game. So what happens going forward? And are we going to get season 2 on that game, on that engine? We just
Okay.
don't know.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny. It's like,
Yeah.
about companies buying different IPs and stuff. I mean, or even the company. I mean, look at Microsoft buying the new Gears of War IP. That was a bombshell.
Yep, that was, and
So what
that's
they're
our
gonna
second.
are they gonna pump that out like every year now? Like,
I don't think,
Well,
honestly, I think with the whole, when they announced that, I mean, for one, I think Epic in general, I think they're going to be, I mean, they got that game Fortnite that they're working on, but I think, I don't know, they said they have IP games being made, but I think they're not going to pump out a lot of games. But as far as Gears of War, I mean, as everyone knows, Microsoft made a game studio called Black Tusk, and they showed a game. And this is where I kind of didn't like how Phil Spencer kind of shrugged this off. They didn't say, here's our concept game that we're working on. They actually said they didn't a teaser of a game that they're working on. Um, so
well, there's been some confusion because they claimed it was an IP, but then when they talked about getting Gears of War uh, as from Epic, they said, well, what they showed at E3 was a concept,
and
not
that's
necessarily.
exactly, and that's what I didn't like, because I think that's where people were nervous, because they just said, we're going to show you a teaser for a game that's being one of the exclusive IPs, new IPs that we're working on, that Black Tusk is working on, and then now they say, well, it was more of a concept. It was like, oh, come on, man! Like, everybody, we thought that was like a teaser for a game that you're being working on. You didn't say it was a concept game or an art that the studio is working on. I mean, here's the thing with Black Tusk, I'm fine them working on Gears, but I really hope there's another game being made. I don't want Gears of War just yet. I want to see, like I said, one of the new IPs they were talking about. But if they, I mean,
Well, I skipped Judgment, so I'm
oh,
ready.
see, well, Judgment was a good game though. A lot of
right.
people, I liked it. A lot of people didn't like it that much. I mean, I definitely liked it. I mean, I know that was made by, was it People Can Fly, and I liked the story. It added to the story. My opinion for the Gears of War, they could do one more game in that story. They could do another prequel based on the Ashfield War. That was the humans and humans. So if they made that prequel, it would go that game, then Judgment, then 1, 2, and 3. I mean, they could pull a Halo, what 343 is doing with Halo, and have Marcus Phoenix in the group, but a completely different enemy, if you ask me.
I think they need to, bring a whole new, different gaming experience with each game that they do bring out. Otherwise you're just beating,
There is
you're
rumors
beating a
that
dead horse.
supposedly, I guess they are working on an RTS. I remember supposedly some images got leaked a couple of years ago, but that they're saying there's something they're working on, and then that's when Judgment came out. But Aaron Greenberg, or I forgot who it was. I guess they're playing coy and they're not really talking about an RTS, but because they're saying the Kinect would use the RTS would work well with the Kinect and stuff like that. But I don't know. I mean,
I don't know. The third person shooter for Gears is tried and true. I think they've got to get back to that bread and butter as far as it's got to have storytelling. Believe it or not, I mean, I there was a lot of the Gears of War lore that I got into playing those games. I got into the characters and I got into the story more than I think a lot of people did, and
well,
it's
I
what made
did
me enjoy it. So,
definitely. Like you said, Gears of War
I
2.
like chunking dudes. That's
Yeah.
all I like.
Oh, you got chunked.
so
Oh,
so
man.
Black Tusk takes it over. They own the IP, which is great. So we're looking forward to seeing what Black Tusk can do with that IP, and I'm hoping at E3 we're gonna get our taste.
And definitely, a lot of people have doubts about it. Here's the thing: they got Rod Ferguson back in there. That's like people right there should be like, oh, okay, I'm not worried about where the game's going to go. Rod Ferguson worked on 1, 2, and 3. He didn't work on Judgment because that's when he went over to, was it Naughty Dog to finish? No, Rational Games to finish up Bioshock Infinite. So with him overseeing the Gears of War IP now, there should be no question. Those games
Yep.
are going. The
And
games are gonna
Cliffy gave his thumbs up to that as well.
exactly. And then that's kind of like when they first made 343. Some people were kind of nervous. Oh, great, they're just going to drag it out. But when they announced that Frank O'Connor was the director of 343, I'm like, dude, now nobody doesn't have to worry about it because Frank O'Connor, when he worked at Bungie, he was the head of the community. He knew over and over. I mean, he worked on the stories for 1, 2, and 3, and he knew left and right what the community wanted because he was the direct contact with the community. I
Yep.
mean, some people didn't like Halo 4. In my opinion, I like Halo 4. That is my favorite one. That story and how they were able to grab the emotion out of those characters this time compared to the other ones, and the music didn't help. I mean, the music was awesome. But
All right. Well, that takes us to our next quick hit. Congratulations to Capcom. They have sold 1 million copies of Dead Rising 3 for the
Dead
Xbox One.
Rising.
Hey, it's a great game. I've been through it 3 times now, and
You beat it 3 times?
Ooh.
I have gone through that 3 times because while they really drag out the time frame, as there is a timer on the game, but it drags
Right.
out. But man, you need a whole playthrough to find everything,
I never.
to get all the weapons and all that stuff.
I haven't played it yet. I hearing it from you, Stan, and Mike, and it's funny. Even me and Stan, we were we were both working on everything last night. They kept on. Toonami was showing reviews of Dead Rising 3, and they said that sometimes the game gets a little repetitive, but they said it's still very fun.
Just like
Oh,
with
it's
any
fun.
zombie game, you're killing masses of zombies. It's like, of course, it's gonna be like The Walking Dead. It's
Yep.
like they're gonna stop focusing on the zombies. The zombies are just a part of the landscape at this point. You got to get through it to get to the rest of the story.
Yep.
But that's just the way it is.
So congratulations to them. Hopefully that means that they get a little more, into Dead Rising 4, and we get an even better experience.
Heck yeah.
And while we're
Zombies
on the
think they're
subject
tasty.
of, yep, oh yeah, and while we're on the subject of congratulations, huge congratulations to Naughty Dog, who at the Dice Summit Awards, The Last of Us wiped the floor with everybody as far as awards. They walked away with everything, including outstanding achievement in game direction, innovation in gaming, sound design, story, performance, art direction, visual engineering, achievement in animation, adventure game of the year,
Wow.
and game of the year. So I mean,
Wow.
they really did very well,
Respect.
and for
Like,
good
that's
reason. It's a fantastic game.
That's what I've heard. I have a buddy who's played it, and he says it's very good, and he said there's a lot of intense moments in there where you're like, oh man, what's gonna happen? With the whole fungus people coming after you and stuff like that. So it's
Yeah.
good. Hey, congratulations, Naughty Dogs. That's awesome.
All
They
right,
did
next
make
up on our quick hits, there was an interesting tweet from Phil Spencer. I know many people have been asking with Fable Anniversary coming out for the Xbox 360 for an Xbox One version. And what he tweeted this week was that they are looking at how the Xbox 360 version is being received by fans, and they will make a call. So, yeah, Xbox One fans looking for Halo Anniversary, it is not necessarily out of the realm of possibility.
That's actually pretty cool. I've never played Fable games. I heard they're very fun.
Love them.
That's actually very cool.
Except for Fable 3, and I don't blame Lionhead for it. I blame the guy who jumped into my game one day and just handed me 5 million gold and said, "Here you go," and exited my game, and I couldn't enjoy it anymore.
Oh,
my
that
gosh.
wasn't so. I'm really looking forward to Fable Legends.
You're rich now.
Okay, right. I don't need all this gold. Have it. So while I'm looking forward to Fable Legends, and my honest opinion is I think Lionhead should really concentrate on that version to make that the marquee Xbox One next-gen version of Fable.
Yeah.
Look, if people who want Anniversary get Anniversary, then it is all the more powerful to them.
Yep, I agree, definitely.
We're going to take a couple more quick hits. Far Cry Classic is coming to Xbox Live and PSN on February 11th on Tuesday.
Yeah. I'm definitely going to be getting that.
Team Ninja is reportedly working on a PS4 game. Any ideas what you guys think it might be? I don't.
No.
Well, Marlon,
so people are speculating it might be Dead or Alive, but who knows?
I don't think it'd be Dead or Alive right away. I think it might be.
Is it Shinobi or something?
Hey man, Shinobi was sweet when that came out. Then the redo was pretty good too. I can honestly, what happened to that game they were working on, the one that's not even released yet? The shooting one, the action one. Wait, no, it wasn't Team Ninja. Itagi, the guy who left Team Ninja. That's who I was thinking of. No, you're right. Yeah, honestly, I don't know. Maybe it is Dead or Alive. I'll be pretty upset because I want Dead or Alive. I miss Dead or Alive.
Yeah. I still got the videos of me and you tag teaming on Fools on Live.
Oh, Dead or Alive 4. That me, you, and TP, man. That was fun doing that stuff.
Let's see. Next on our list, and this is something that Mason hits to your heart. There is a gameplay alpha video out there from the developer of Mighty Number 9.
Yeah.
So this one, I'm going to let you take this one, man.
Mighty Number 9, honestly, is probably going to be, well, in case anybody didn't know, the original guy, I think his last name is Infuane, and he started a company called, actually, I forgot the name of the company, Combrex or something like, Comex or something like that. Well, he's doing a spiritual successor to Mega Man, and it's called Mighty Number 9. Anybody, if you guys are listening right now, there's some footage of it playing. There isn't a lot out there right now. There's been some alpha gameplay, some placeholder stuff, but a new video got released of him playing it, and he was very satisfied with it. It will be released on the PS4 and the Xbox One. I also think it's going to be released on PC and 360 and PS3. I could be wrong, but that game is definitely going to be awesome, especially the resemblance to Mega Man. Like I said, it's a spiritual successor to it, so technically you could say he could say it's a brand new game. But
they needed a revamp just because they've had like 20, Mega Man games.
There's like Mega Man. I say it's funny for the longest time. I thought Mega Man X was like Mega Man 2, but there's like Mega Man 1 through 10, and then it starts at Mega Man X, and then there's Z, Sword, and all them. Like there's so many, but and I remember this game started out as a Kickstarter, and when they found out who the Kickstarter program belonged to and what the game was going to be, because a concept image got released, I think it was like a 30-day goal to meet a certain amount. Within 24 hours of the 30-day goal, it went past the goal. The Kickstarter did. And I think within 30 days, at the end of the Kickstarter run, it was like it tripled past what they needed to get the game completed. So I know that game's coming out this year. Like if you guys can look at when you guys are listening to this, there's some footage of it being played that's only out there right now, some alpha footage. But seeing the gameplay and seeing how smooth it is and the very closeness to old style Mega Mans. It's weird. It's like old style Mega Man mixed with Mega Man X with next gen, with some smooth next gen cartoony graphics. So it fits very well. That I'm very excited for.
Well, it better be a good game because
a lot of hype.
According to their according to their Kickstarter page, they've cleared $4 million in funding.
Yeah.
So I don't know many AAA games
Wow.
that have that much,
I think they only
straight up
needed
funding.
like 300,000 to get the game to start off. I think that was the
The
goal.
rest is just like
Well, they've
cream.
hit right. They've got like this list of stretch goals, and they've hit every single one of them.
Yep.
So you are correct.
They're
there
gonna
is
have
a
to give the
place-
money back.
Yeah, exactly.
There is there's a PS3, 360, and Wii U version coming because of the stretch goal that they got. There are game modes, and actually there's Mac and Linux versions coming. That was one of their stretch goals. So
Wow.
you computer guys that don't like PC, you're gonna get a version 2.
What's crazy
So-
They probably
is
have to branch out, because like they probably have like so much money. They're like, hey, why not?
exactly.
Like,
I'm
might
pretty
as
sure.
well, since we
Yeah,
have
if they
so
only
much.
released it on consoles, probably people would be like, okay. I get PC people would probably be upset. You guys made $4 million and you couldn't even make a PC port. But
Right.
it's definitely going to be awesome. That's probably one of the biggest games I'm very excited for. Is Mighty Number 9.
Speaking of going back to roots and maybe even spiritual successors, what do you guys make of the return of Sonic the Hedgehog? Now, here's the weird thing. So, I was a huge Sonic the Hedgehog fan. I always have been. In the Genesis and Super Nintendo wars, I was that guy. Everybody hated. Yeah, blast processing, all that stuff. But when it came down to it, I mean, I really, Sonic CD for the Sega CD was like one of my all-time favorites before the Sonic Adventure games came out. And so here's
that fighting game they had.
Oh God,
Sonic had a fighting game.
Yeah.
Oh,
They
you
had
gotta be kidding
everything.
me.
And Sonic Free Riders for the original Xbox 360 Connect, which I think I played for 3 seconds before throwing it in the trash. But so here's the interesting thing. So there's a TV show and a game coming out, Sonic Boom,
Sonic Boom.
not being made by Sega's Japanese development house.
Oh, wow.
It has been brought over to Big Red Button Studio, which is actually headed by a gentleman who worked on Uncharted and Jak and Daxter.
Wow.
So it's coming out for the Wii U as their one of their exclusive titles in Nintendo and Sega's exclusive Wii U deal, and for the 3DS. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like unless they change their mind like Ubisoft did with Rayman Legends. Looks like Sonic's not coming at first to the PlayStation 4 or Xbox One. But, is this a boon for Wii U people? Is Sonic done? I mean, look what I don't know if you've seen the pictures of what they've done with Sonic and Knuckles, but they put an ascot on Sonic.
Knuckles looks like he's like on dang steroids. Here's the thing, in my opinion, the last best Sonic game was Sonic Adventures for the Dreamcast. That game was awesome.
Agreed.
And there's been so many few and far between of different Sonic games. Honestly, I don't think Sonic's gonna go anywhere. He's not gonna be swept under the rug. But it'll probably people are gonna buy it. But I mean, we had a new view for Sonic in the 360 and the Wii and the PS3 days, but I don't know, maybe that mascot, but people are just not really grabbing onto it. Honestly, I don't know. I mean, even Sonic on the GameCube wasn't even, they tried to branch off with the Shadow character, I don't know. I mean,
I think they may need, a revamping just because all the people who loved Sonic back in the day, they're all grown up now, and Sonic has kind of fallen off to the younger generation, so
who really might not know the significance of it.
Developers, like working with, Jak and Daxter was great games.
Yes, it was.
Great platforming. And I think that's just what Sonic needs. It needs an update a little bit.
And I was going to
I
say
don't
that.
know about the art. I'm not really sure about the art or whatever, but as far as gameplay, I think they do need an update,
And I do
Well,
agree
you make
with
a good point.
I agree with the platform. Jak and Daxter, awesome. I love Jak and Daxter. Yeah. And Sonic is that type of character where they could incorporate. I mean, I guess you could say it's a platformer, but at the same time, a speedy game.
Well, is Sonic taking the same route as Mario? Mario was for the for my generation of Nintendo gamers growing up, and look, after the 100th Mario game, is Sonic suffering the same thing?
I
Is
think
he
so.
just
I think he's
is
just.
it just burnout?
I think he's just getting by. I mean, they keep on making new games. They keep on making new games, and if they, if,
Mario's thrown 100 parties, and each of these parties have hundreds of games in them.
yeah,
And I'm
part
sure
other
each are
parties.
like the last. Like he's a party animal.
Yeah,
That
Well,
Mario.
that's the other issue is, what is this game going to be? We've seen Sonic as a 2D platformer, which with the exception of Sonic Adventure, I think was when Sonic was at his best on the Genesis days. But we've seen racing, and we've seen fighting, and we've seen, even with the last iteration where they tried it on Xbox Live Arcade, where they were trying to do this semi 2D, 3D, isometric, maybe halfway two-dimensional thing. You know, they got, I don't know. I kind of agree. I think do you go back to your roots, or do you go the 3D route and try to remake Sonic Adventure? And we're gonna have to see. I mean, it's a big step for Sega to give this franchise over to a Western developer. I'm curious.
yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
So, all right, so we're saving our best quick hit for last. Titanfall.
Yeah.
Um, so unless you live under a rock, you know that the beta is coming.
Yep.
Right off of the heels of what, I mean, at least from what I read and saw videos of, was a pretty successful alpha test where I think what all Respawn wanted was for people to get on and test their servers and test their load, test the net code. And what ended up happening was it created more hype for the game because people, even with a small download with 25%, resolution, textures, and all that stuff, people came away from that alpha going, "Holy cow, this is an incredibly fun game." And Phil Spencer just tweeted that this is going to set the bar for multiplayer for a long time. So now we have the beta coming out very soon. There's no real information yet on how we're going to get into it.
I think they said they're going to release some information in the beginning of this week, Monday, and a strong rumor is that it's going to come out on the 14th. That's this Friday. Whether that quick, who knows? I just know we're going to get some information this week. As for the alpha, like Stinger had said, I was lucky enough to get into the alpha from a mutual friend of mine, and let me tell you, it was awesome. For an alpha stage, and for how balanced that game is, honestly, if this game, I'm not, it's going to get good reviews. I don't know anybody who would rag on this game. It was balanced all around. People might think, oh, having Titanfalls on the levels are going to be one-sided. No, it's not. I was in a Titanfall, and I had 3 guys take me down. But then when I had a Titanfall, and there was another Titanfall on my teammate, yeah, we were killing some people, but we got taken down also. So there's no one-sided there. I mean, I'm pretty sure there is the inevitable if, if the other team has 6 Titanfalls on the map, more than likely they probably will own. But there's still a high chance that you can still turn the tide, which happened when I played that alpha. Like I said, there's about 25% less graphics there. It still ran smooth. It was a very fast game, very fast. And I know people are afraid of campers and stuff like that. You will not have to worry about that in this game. The game's so fast. If you're gonna hide in the corner of this game, of this map, of these games, you will not get a kill. Nobody is. It's just. Oh my god, you guys, it's crazy.
Yeah, this isn't GoldenEye.
Oh yeah, exactly. I mean, this game is seriously. People in Battlefield might be able to snipe and this and that, or in Call of Duty might be able to hide in a corner and camp. That ain't gonna happen. And I know Respawn just announced that there is a secret, unannounced anti-cheat thing they implemented in the game. I don't know if you guys saw that on Twitter. They're not going to say what it is, but they said it will work, and they said that they're very confident on it's like an anti-cheat mechanism in the game.
That's good.
Okay.
So, but I know the rumor is that it's supposedly going to come on the 14th, and supposedly they're going to announce tomorrow. More details are saying that you just have to go to the website, you sign up, and they give you the code right then and there. And then
Well, that's good because the initial rumor was it was going to be for pre-orders.
Yep.
And that kind of look, I think a topic for a future podcast for us is going to be digital versus physical game buying.
That'd be good, yeah.
Look, I'm an all digital guy this generation, so I'm not pre-ordering Titanfall because there's no reason to. I'm going to buy it the day it comes out, and I'm going to download it, when it's available. So I'm glad that they're not. I'm glad they're not going to just make the beta for those people.
Which is good. I mean, I'm the same way. I'm all digital. But I would love to have that big statue that comes with the collector's edition. That thing is huge. So,
Yeah. How big is the statue?
dude, they were able to fit the office secretary in the box. They sent a picture.
Huh.
She was able to curl up and get in the box.
It's a lot of packing foam. That's all I gotta say.
It's like $250 I think for the thing. But I'm like, man, I don't want to buy the digital version and then, spend $260 just so I can get that ginormous statue. So
that's all you, man. I'm not doing it.
No, I probably won't do that either. But
well, guys, this has been a blast.
Yes,
We're hoping that this can be something that gamers will latch on to as we bring more of our opinions and our commentary to gamers from the perspective of the older gamers, the newer gamers, the young guys, the old guys, from the perspectives of our consoles that we own and the experiences we've had. We're going to try to bring some other things to our future podcasts. So definitely fill up our comment section on the YouTube page. And what we'll do is next week we'll take some of the best comments we find and try to answer them and talk about them. Just a warning. No fanboy comments are going to be taken. There's a lot of stuff I'm sure we're going to have to ignore, right, guys?
Oh yeah, I mean I'm sure.
Yeah.
I mean honestly, what I would say, there can be certain fanboys, but no, out of the certain internet forums, no. I mean, we're smart enough. We know if someone's going to say pull something out of their ass and say something, and we know we're going to take it like, okay, that's bait. It's not going to be accepted. I mean, you can say, as long as you, like me, as long as you have facts to back up your fanboy comment, or just not go over the edge. I mean, I'm pretty sure everyone knows what I mean.
Reel it in. Just reel it in.
Yeah, let's not make this one of those quote unquote internet forums that threads get locked in.
Oh yeah.
So look, this is we're here for you guys. We're here for you, the listeners, the gamers, the ones that want to cut past all the crap and just hear from some real life guys who do this at various stages of their life and have that different experience. So gentlemen, final thoughts?
If you agree with what we're doing, like, subscribe, and that's all I'm gonna say. Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening.
Same thing. This is Mason, aka SiNAR 2 and 2. Just like to say, hopefully you guys do like it. Like I said, we're all gamers at the heart. We're the hardcore casual. We hope you guys like what we're doing. We'll keep up the best we can with the news and the talks. If you guys like us, subscribe. Leave comments on the bottom of the videos, and hopefully we'll catch you guys next time when we release our next podcast. All right, we'll close out with you there, Mike.
All right. Well, once again, this is Mike, aka StingerNLG. We are the Generation Gamers. It's been a pleasure to get this inaugural podcast off the ground, and we're looking forward to many, many, many more. Everybody, have a great week.
All right, guys, take it easy. Peace.